Hey folks, welcome back to the Holy Comforter Episcopal Church YouTube Bible study. I'm Jimmy Abbott, the priest here at Holy Comforter. It's great to have you back. We'll be looking at the gospel lesson for Sunday, October 22nd. That gospel lesson is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, verses 15 through 22. Matthew 22, verses 15 through 22. Remember just where we are to set the scene. This is towards the end of Jesus' life and ministry. He has made his triumphal entry into Jerusalem. He has done his action at the temple, turning over the money changers' tables and driving the animals around and all that. And now he understandably has made some people uncomfortable by all of that, and people are asking him questions. So we see here that the Pharisees are going to come ask him a question, and you'll see actually in 23 that some Sadducees come and ask him some questions. Just so a little bit of background, Pharisees and Sadducees were different sects is probably the best word within Judaism at the time. They each had different understandings of the Jewish law, the sacrificial system, and how it was to be carried out. So it's interesting that we see a little bit of the interplay between these two groups here and the different questions that they ask Jesus. But here we go. Then the Pharisees went and plotted to entrap Jesus in what he said. So they sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians. So the Herodians, that's another group. The Herodians would have been, Herod would have been like the secular ruler of the Jews, the sort of puppet governor for the Roman Empire. Saying, "Teacher, we know that you are sincere and teach the way of God in accordance with truth and show deference to no one, for you do not regard people with partiality." Let's just stop there, right? Have you ever gone up to someone to sort of hammer them, but you start real nice? It's kind of what they're doing, right? They're like trying to butter up Jesus. Jesus sees right through it. "Tell us then, what do you think? Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor or not?" So this is a big question back then, since it was the Roman Empire that had control over this area. It was also a question about sort of who should be the ruler. I mean, that's really what they're asking, right? Is who should rule us? Should we pay our taxes to Rome, or should we not? Should we start a revolution and start killing Romans, which is what a lot of them were doing? Or they're asking, should we just kind of play along and pay our taxes and just sort of say, well, it is what it is. It's kind of interesting. Jesus doesn't take the bait, right? Verse 18, "But Jesus, aware of their malice, said, 'Why are you putting me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the coin used for the tax.' And they brought him a denarius." Okay, so this is actually really crucial. That coin, like our coins, I don't have a coin on me, would have had the emperor's face or like sort of profile shot, and then it would have had like inscribed the emperor's name, and it probably would have said something like Augustus Caesar, son of God. And it's like, wait, time out. Jesus is saying like, well, time out. Why are you even carrying that coin? We're Jews. We don't believe that this other person, this imposter, is the Son of God, right? We believe that God is God and only God is God. So, in a sense, by asking them to hand him the coin, he is saying, "You hypocrites," right? It's like, you've been trying to trap me in this question, yet here you are carrying a coin that's an image of idolatry. Like you've already broken the first two commandments. Strike one, strike two, right? Verse 20. "Then he said to them, 'Whose head is this and whose title?'" Again, describing the coin. They answered, "The emperor's." Then he said to them, "Give therefore to the emperor the things that are the emperor's, and to God the things that are God's." When they heard this, they were amazed, and they left him and went away. So a couple just things to think about in there. That word give, a lot of times we hear this from the King James Version as render, right? Render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's. Render is probably actually a better word, because the word in Greek there, it means more to give back. Not just to give, but to give back. Okay, so imagine that, right? So they're like, here's this coin. And Jesus is like, yeah, give it back to him. So in a sense, he's saying like, why would you even have it? Like, give it back to Caesar, which I think is really, it's a clever way of sort of undercutting the system. He's not saying, don't pay your taxes, go grab your swords and start stabbing some Romans. He's not saying that. Neither is he saying, yes, you should pay your taxes. No, he's undercutting the whole thing and saying, like, give it back to them. And then ask yourself why you even had it in the first place. Why have you bought into this whole system anyway? The other thing that I think is interesting then is we have to ask ourselves, well, then what is God's? Give back to God the things that are God's. Give back to God. And when we think about what are the things that belong to God, love, grace, mercy, hospitality, generosity, those are the things that then we are supposed to give back. Give back to God, give back to others, love your neighbor as yourself. So I think in this that Jesus is, he's avoiding that sort of, we have this either or that we oftentimes read this as is, should we sort of support the government, the state, or should we not support it? And Jesus is going deeper than that. He's saying that the real revolution is the revolution of love, of loving God and loving neighbor. This other stuff, the sort of these coins, like they're all just kind of fake and made up. They don't really mean anything. What really means something is our love and our grace and our mercy and our hospitality and how we give that back to God and how we give it back to others. Of course, the world will say, no, actually the real things are the currency, right? Because that's like actually how we buy things. But we know, as Christians, as people of faith, as spiritual people, that the real things are actually love and grace and mercy and peace and hope. That's actually what is the real currency that you and I trade in as people of faith. So that's something to think about is asking ourselves, what does belong to God? And what should we give back? And, at the end of the day, what Jesus is saying is that you got to give back everything. Everything. Everything good in your life. It has to be given back. And everything that's not of God needs to be given back to wherever it came from, too. So you can see this is a really subversive lesson. And it really, when we chew on it and we ruminate on it, we see that it means a lot more than the sort of simple, what we've always thought is like, oh, I should pay my tax and I should pay my pledge to the church. It means so much more than that. It's cutting down to the heart of who we really are, who we identify as, what kind of people are we, and what kind of revolution are we fighting? Is it a revolution of swords and violence, or is it a revolution of love? And I think it's the revolution of love, right? That Jesus has started this, and that we join in with him, and that we give back to God the things that are God's. Thank you so much for joining me for some of these reflections on the Gospel of Matthew and what that all means for us. It means a lot, and I would ask you to think about it and to pray about it and to wonder what are those things that are God's, that God is calling you to give back. I'd love to hear from you. Please email me, jimmy@holycomforterspring.org. Leave a comment in the comment section. It is great to have all of you join me for this Bible study.